Hello, and welcome. It is, of course, no in particular day, crazily enough. It is random work stream. Crazy. Nope. I was supposed to theoretically do this a little bit earlier. Earlier today, that is. But I got distracted working on work. Hmm. Sorry, just making sure things are working properly. Let's move that over to there. Okay. So this is unusual for us. I mean, we have World Building Wednesday, but we don't really do work stuff. Not really. Well, we make maps and so forth. We're used to. I mean, like work on Galactic Requiem. I suppose we're gonna make a map, sort of. But I was, as I said, I was distracted working. I was intending to do this earlier. I was just simply statting weapons and stuff. I got distracted statting things, pricing of weaponry and all that. Anyway, let's talk stats, build maps, that kind of thing. We are, of course, um, well, this is not like our usual streams. Well, it sort of is, but sort of isn't. It's weird. We don't usually do this. But it is going to be far slower than our usual stuff, at least, because it's more a work-oriented stream than anything. So, I suppose I'll do the work in our usual file. By that I mean on like our datasheet file. We'll note things there as we work, and we'll try and focus on making a map and so forth for not tomorrow, solo Sunday, which is on Friday. That stuff. Okay. So, let's see if we can't get things working. As I said, it's going to be a bit slower. Hmm. So, before we got here, I was simply working on ammo pricing of ammo, not small arms, but heavy ammo, missiles, bombs, rockets, ammo for that kind of thing. Of course, starship ammo is a thing that you need to buy that's relatively expensive. Relatively. Well, missiles are at least the actual small or even large normal ammos, relatively cheap, but space missiles, exceptionally expensive. But that's not too important. Let's get to it. Of course, for Solo Sunday, our character is about to take a contract that involves attacking some road or something like that. Oh, we're going to be working on a lot of things. It's a bit scattered. Look, it's a work stream, and I work on things in a scattered manner. I don't I don't know where it will lead us. Anyway, so as I said, it's going to be a bit slower than usual. Hmm. Um. So I was just pricing tank gun rounds, and I was working on a few missile rounds, rockets more so than missiles, because all of it needs to be priced, and every single variant has its own price. You know, HE has its price, AP has its price. You need different prices for APFSDS, different prices for HESH, different prices for heat, different prices for HE, different prices for everything. But we've come to, and then of course every single caliber has its own, well, I say caliber, but size has its own thing. So, 100 millimeter tank gun rounds cost different than 105 millimeter tank gun rounds, even if they're both APFSDS. They have different prices. Same with 120 millimeter, obviously, etc., etc. And so, of course, that all needs prices. Of course, we live in a realm that you Elysians would consider science fiction. So, of course, there's more than just your standard rounds. There's armor piercing plasma rounds and all of that. So, each one of those has its own price. Cryo rounds have their own price. Incendiary molten core rounds have their own price. All of that. And of course, there is pricing for shoving AI cores into your missiles or rockets. That costs money, of course. AI cores aren't free. But even if you shove an AI core in the missile or rocket, you gain no benefit. Not innately, because, of course, you need a sensor package. It doesn't matter if you have an AI in the rocket if it can't see, you know? What's the point of putting a brain in a rocket if it can't sense anything? So, of course, sensor suites and you get the point. I mean, of course, if you put a sensor suite in the rocket and then an AI core, it's still not going to do anything. Congrats, the AI can see that it's about to hit something and explode, but unless it has the ability to control the rocket, unless it has, you know, unless it's a controllable rocket, then, but the majority of, I mean, if you're putting in AI, it's pretty much standard. Having an actual controllable rocket, well, missile more so, is relatively standard. Guided weapons, standard. Anyway, here we go. So just things like that, and specialty, like, sometimes you want to pack your missile with monofilament for anti-personnel solutions. You know, just every possible variant and variable, whether you want a laser pumped rocket or etc. Just options, basically. So many options. And it all has to be priced and statted. Um, let's go into a tangent. Little tangent. It relates. It relates. So, oh, I just lost my tangent. Nope, gotta find it. Where'd I put it? It's not like it's posted anywhere in my brain. Where'd I put it in my brain? Um, basically, I really lost the tangent I was about to go on. Shit. That's. Give me a moment. That's not ideal. It was. We're talking about weapons and guidance and statting. Oh, there we are. There we are. I remember my tangent. Vehicle pricing. My tangent was about vehicle pricing. So this is statistics and all that, and cost and law, and it all ties together. But unfortunately, we've dug ourselves into a corner, you see. Starships cost a certain amount. They cost a certain amount of money. Now, we have it listed and a system for calculating cost of starships, right? Right. So, we also have a system for cost of vehicles. Makes sense. But due to this little pricing system, both systems are different, by the way. Both pricing systems are different. They work on different principles, different numbers, different stats. They are completely different between starships and vehicles, the pricing system, that is. That causes problems in a sense of both of them work. However, it means that there are certain vehicles that have prices that are not ideal, prices that annoy me, systems to calculate them that annoy me. And these vehicles are boats and aircraft. Boats and aircraft fall in a middle ground that not like they work on both. How do I put it? Boats and aircraft are exceptionally cheap. They cost far less than you would expect. So do starships. So do starships. So the question is, do I mess everything up and increase the cost of starships? Do I live with the decreased cost of boats and atmospheric aircraft? What do I do? And this haunts me. It's something I think about, and I have no easy answer for it. Because if I simply increase the price of all the starships, it messes up a lot of the already statted economics of the game and the law. All the economics get messed up if we increase the price of starships, which are relatively cheap. They are exceptionally cheap. But if we increase the price of aircraft and boats, they become at least comparable to the price of starships, which is not ideal. It's all messed up, and there's no way I know of to fix it that's easy that will end with me happy. So I sort of just have to live with being annoyed constantly at this. For instance, here's an example. A starship, if you want to know how exceptionally cheap starships are, a fighter jet, military starship jet. I say jet, but a military starship fighter craft costs 800,000 to a million galactic standard credits. Very cheap. Reasonable deal. However, if you know just modern values, that's exceptionally cheap. Like a aircraft carrier in the modern era costs what, $5 billion? And a space aircraft carrier or battleship with aircraft carrying capability, a space variant, bigger, fancier, $500 million, 500 million galactic standard credits. Starships are exceptionally cheap. But then again, we do have that's not necessarily a problem. We do live in a space nation with space technology and mass production. You know, like starships, easy to build, relatively speaking. So it's not like they should be necessarily as expensive, especially with automation and industrialization and advanced technologies and material sciences, you know? But still, it's weird that a fighter, a modern tech level 9 Earth fighter jet, or tech level 10 Earth fighter jet even, costs $1 million. Like up to, at usually most, $1 million. And like a tech level 9 costs like 400,000. So jets, exceptionally cheap. I suppose that is countered by the fact that anti-aircraft weaponry is so much more prevalent and advanced and inexpensive, given the fact that, like, you just have one ground-based orbital, not orbital, one ground-based anti-air laser array, and that thing will fire at aircraft at exceptional range with pinpoint accuracy almost instantly because it's a laser. There's no track time, or there's track time, but no like time to target because it's a laser, speed of light. If it's firing at an atmospheric aircraft, it's probably going to hit it the second it fires. You know, like, so anti aircraft and exceptional guidance systems and so forth. Like, it's a weird pricing. All the pricing is weird and it annoys me, but we live with it. Anyway, so let's do some statting. Well, mapping more so, and statting all of it. Like I said, let's see. Is it this one? No. This is the one we're looking for. Perfect. Okay, so our mission is going to be here. We're going to attack this. We need to make a map for that. So let's pop on over to our map sheet. Yep. Here we go. Duplicate, copy, copy. Map, copy. Mission encounter. Whatever, it's just the name of the map. I mean, that's how we get into these problems where everything's named the same and we can't figure out what they are. That's how we get in that. Anyway. So, every square is 10 kilometers. Not here in the, this map. So, basically, we're gonna have a highway. Let's figure that out. It is, yep, highway, heading out of the city to the south. So there's gonna be north and right. So since basically there's gonna be flat north and a highway heading out of it. Okay. So the edge of the city. Highway's heading sort of southwest, sort of. Okay. How much of this do we want to be city and how much do we want to be a highway? I suppose that's the question. One moment. My apologies, I need to grab something. Okay. We return. Sorry about that. Let's see. Hmm. Let us start with just some very generic city stuff that we can work with. Okay. Just because this will make it so much easier. There we are. Nope. Wrong layer. Let's try that again. There we are. Every square here, like big yellow square, is, in this case, 100 meters. Give or take a little bit. How much city do we want on this map is the real question. I mean, it's going to be a quick encounter map, but I'm not entirely sure. Let's pop over the construction map. Let's hope I use the updated version of this map, or I'm going to be annoyed. It's it's not the most up-to-date version. Okay, gonna have to import that at some point. So, a lot of this, I say a lot of this without really good definition of what this is. Working on this stuff is, I mean, this is what I do. Of course, my players require maps. In this case, we're making it for ourselves, for our solo TTRPG. But, of course, this one, like I said, is not for our players, but we do this for them too. It's a lot of work, although I usually don't ramble while doing it, because of course, there's not usually people watching me make maps. Well, in general, but Okay, that's a highway marker, so we'll go like so. Kind of believe the highway is going to go deeper into the city proper, so we'll just overlay it over these roads because basically the highway's going further, you know? There we are. And the highway leaves the city, so it's going to go off of this map. Oh, we're off by a square. But yeah, it's a lot of design, preparation, coming up with encounters, writing. It's a lot of writing, that kind of stuff. As I believe I've said before, for me, I like providing a living world for my players, and they can choose what to do. Okay, we're going to want a background. Let's hope we do this right. The background would be like this. That's good enough. Sure, it's set to snap to grid version. And let's place that background. Fancy. Oh, it looks a bit better. Little bit. Annoys me that grass is in the city section, but we'll, of course, get to fixing that probably, maybe. Who knows? But this is, of course, for a possibly relatively quick encounter, because who knows what the bot will do. So, we know that there are going to be some military things in the area, which we should place at some point. Hmm. We'll have a big structure here. In order to do that, place that, meaning that all this is going to be one structure. But what structure? That's the real question, isn't it? Instead of placing fancy looking buildings just for the sake of expedience, who knows? Just for easier everything. Let's see. Oh, let's resort these by name and not date. That works better. Now I can actually find things. Quad block, medium residential. There we are. I suppose there's one problem with this, so we'll place it here so we can actually measure properly. Although to be fair, I don't think these actually measure properly. Yep, they don't measure properly. As you can see, there's a slight discrepancy here. I need to make a fixed version of this, honestly, at some point. Send to back. But yeah, this version basically it's not to scale properly. I can tell you why. So if we go back over to the construction map over here, you'll see these are small. These are 1 square wide. If I recall correctly, the image is copied from this. Like one of these was placed with no background and then copied and then used as the template for all of them. So given that it was used as a template at the small version, it doesn't add up at the larger scale, as opposed to if I basically used these larger ones over an empty background, copied and cut that out, and did it like so, which I didn't do. I also messed up on this. As you can see, it's this one's above this one, and I I'm gonna be real. I cannot be bothered to go back and fix both of those. I'll tell you why. I'd have to redo it. I say redo it, not the image themselves, but I'd have to copy, paste, crop, export, the fit to canvas, fit to selection, export, import, crop, 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 well, screenshot, import, crop, edit, fit to selection or fit to content. I have to do that. Like 222 times. I'd have to do that 222 times to fix it all. I genuinely do not have the patience or time to do that 222 times also. I do not have the patience or time to do that. So we're stuck with it, messed up. It doesn't affect anything other than just being slightly annoying that it's off, you know, doesn't really affect anything. But I know it's messed up and it annoys me, but not enough that I have the patience or time to spare fixing it all. Unfortunately. So yeah, if I had the time, I would. If I had the patience, I would. But given all the other projects we work on, we do not have that. So, good enough. Um, let's see. Do you want another large or I think we should have some small residential at the edge of the city. Hmm. Ooh, I know what we'll do. Let us. I mean, there's another easier way to do it that doesn't involve that, obviously. The big one will always be off, but I suppose I could fix that one relatively easy. I'd only have to fix one if I fix that. Welcome to my train of thought. Of course, we could just do something like that. I do want a construction thing there. This, of course, takes a bit more map memory and space, probably. Given the fact that I'm not actually sure how much memory, if it saves memory or not, given the scale of pixels and amount of pixels and all that, I'm not sure. Because I know that this is lower pixel count than, basically, the single image is lower pixel count than the full thing due to the scaling of how I had to make it cropped to work and all that. So who knows? Probably could figure it out if I knew how, but it's not important. Um, Medium residential. There we are. These are, of course, our custom little images we made for this. A few of them, so I tried-ish to make them in the traveler style, sort of, but it's strayed on some of them. Because I wanted it to be usable with, like, the traveler style of things, if you know. For instance, of course different, but like, this is the traveler symbol for arcology, you know? Stuff like that. But for zoning, half inspired by traveler, half inspired by, like, city builders like Sim City and City Skylines and so forth. With the color oriented things so like greens residential, yellows industrial, blues commercial, that kind of thing, you know? With little symbols that represent it for vague map making purposes instead of having to go in and do this, which is nicer looking. But when you're mapping an entire like city for your players, like an entire city, it takes up a lot of memory. And there are other problems if you put individual things. It takes a lot of time, a lot of map memory, a lot of token assets. There are problems with it. Well, the other way is quicker, easier, bit less detailed, but good enough representation. Of course, if my players go somewhere, I will, of course, use fancier stuff if required. But once again, we get back to the traveler saying, map only is really necessary. You know? Anyway. So, this, of course, as stated, far more open, far less structured, far more slow. A lot of just me rambling about my train of thought as I work. Hmm. I wish I had more coffee. I really do. Could always make more coffee, like that is an option. Hmm. Did I accidentally close the thing I had open? Perhaps. Okay, there we are, much better. Let's see. So, what is in this district? What are we going to deal with? Could always just ask the bot, you know? But I think this will be relatively... Ooh! Let's throw down a light commercial. There we are. Nope, wrong layer. Light commercial. Perfect. And we'll copy the medium residential. So another one here. And there's a larger medium residential. What's across the way? More commercial. Probably a slightly larger commercial. Still small land-wise, but I mean medium commercial. So let's find M. Medium commercial. There we are. We do have definition of what these mean, by the way. Sort of. I'm on the table about it. On the fence. Something like that. I'm not good with your Elysian language. We're not translating live, of course. As you know, I don't technically speak any Elysian languages. I speak Galactic Standard, which is far more obtuse than your language, I'll be honest. Far more obtuse. For instance, like everything we do is heavily translated for your viewing. Like whenever I say Monday, we don't say Monday in Galactic Standard. We say the first day of the week is what a more accurate translation is. The first day of the week. Tuesday would be translated as the second day of the week. Or sometimes, depending on you, the Galactic Standard changes ever so slightly depending on where you are. There's different variants and cultural variants and all that. So, like for instance, in some places they don't say first day of the week. They'll say something along the lines of course, week is also technically a translation, but basically it'll be something along the lines of start week or end week, etc., or midweek. Anyway, it really depends. But yeah, it's a very obtuse language. But there's a reason for that. The reason for that being Galactic Standard, the language the majority of people in the galaxy speak, is that way because it's multi-species and multi-national, multi-planet, multi-everything. Like it's the common agreed upon language between cultures and societies throughout most of the civilized galaxy. So it's not designed to be smooth. It is actively a constructed language, if you will. It's it's not a naturally occurring language. It's constructed. So it's very obtuse to help, be used between every group. Like not the obtuseness doesn't help with that necessarily. The obtuseness is so it's understandable by any given cultural species and so forth. Of course, there are some species that can't naturally speak Galactic Standard, different, biological constructs and so forth. Like the ants there don't have the ability to speak innately. They actively just cannot participate. They need translators in order to do so because they communicate using electromagnetic pulses and flashing lights, basically. Some of them aren't even visible to the average Terran due to the wavelength of the light, but, that's what translations are for. But that's why it has to be obtuse. Cultures are also strange. Not every culture shares common values and all that. So, you know, for the ants there who basically don't regard non-ants their life as having value, they're also very culturally strange. That not only, I mean, it's not really the fact that they rely on biotech that makes them culturally strange. They're culturally strange, but a lot of their stuff revolves around biotech, given that it's their primary technology. But still, like, just they're different. Like the societal structure and the culture is vastly different. So the obtuseness in translation is sort of required for communication. So like simply saying something along the lines of like what you would consider Elysian slang, like it's not really slang, but like what's up, what is up. It's not necessarily understandable by some species or cultures. Like, what is up? Obviously, the roof. The roof is up, it is above. The roof is up. Like, it doesn't mean, how are you doing? What's going on? You know, like, what's up? What is up? So, you know, like, and, using a base agreed upon language involves a lot of compromise to make it work between all these cultures and nations. So, like a lot of it is obtuse like that. So it's a it's not the fastest language, but you know, it gets information across in a constructed way, thus allowing communication between multiple nations, species, and cultures, as opposed to, say, local languages, which exist, as does local currency. It's just, you know, less used due to, I mean, except for in the local areas in which it's prevalent, due to the whole need for communication between and finance and trade and all that between nations and cultures. But yeah, in short, today, while you Elysians would call it Tuesday, we would call it the second day of the week. And so forth. Well, still loosely translated. Of course, everything needs to be translated. Otherwise, I'd be making incomprehensible gibberish sounds at you. Well, that you wouldn't understand unless you spoke Galactic Standard. But I mean, of course, data transfer and so forth has caused a lot of both problems and solutions to this. Of course, neural data pads and so forth do cause a lot of solutions to this, but I mean, the original design of neural data pads, like network architecture and all that, and even just digital architecture for communication between brains and all that, does also cause problems like there's still translation needed and all that because not every species' brains work the same. Anyway, it's a whole thing. I'm not the best to talk on it, to be fair, given the fact that I'm simply an imperial lord. And while, like, technically, given a neural data pad in my brain, I am technically capable of accessing the information, as you may know, while actively broadcasting here using a multi-dimensional device. It does have effects on my ability to process. It doesn't work well with our base technologies. It does cause me errors. When I try and access the net, I often just get a lot of fuzz. My personal AI does not work well, and so forth, when using the multiple dimensional broadcasting device, unfortunately. Interference and all that. Anyway, so I'm not really the best to talk on it to you. So, But yeah, a lot of stuff like that. Um, let's see. So let's place hmm, city design. More going this way. That's easy enough. There we are. Hmm. So, what else? Another thing I need to do is stat a bunch of, I say stat, more so price, honestly. So, the problem, let me explain. The problem is that I can stat things easily. I know how to stat things for Galactic Requiem. It's easy for me. However, pricing things involves math. I mean, statting things involves math, but it's different. Pricing things, you have to do after you stat it. You need to go look at charts, do math for every single stat involved, do more math, make sure you have every possible thing involved in the item down, and then you can finally calculate the price. This takes time and work. Time and work that I am inclined to do. It's not something I'm like, I don't have the time or patience to do. I definitely do. This is good stuff that I need to get done. But a lot of things I've statted, but not priced. So I need to go in, look at the stats, convert them to the price chart, and then price it. I mean, I can give you an example. I can give you an example easily. So if we go over to our items book, which I unfortunately can't display just because I don't have it set up to do so, and that would take a lot more time than it's worth right this moment. Here we are. For example, right here, I have the stats for a generic G class 4/D civilian vessel. I have all the stats for it. HP 300 before conversion, armor 150 before conversion, shields 150 before conversion, AC 16, DR 35, movement 5 squares, hyperspace times 1, size 600 meters, crew 50, passengers 10,000, life support 10,050, cargo 20,000 tons, etc., etc., etc. I could go on, but point being, I have all the stats for this vehicle. I did not note the values related to those stats for pricing, nor the price of it. I simply, very quickly, noted down the stats for it because I can do that easily. I didn't do the price conversion, meaning, and this, I've done a lot. I've done this a lot. So I'd have to go in and do this a bunch for a lot of different vehicles. I'd have to convert all of the stats into their pricing values, add it all together, do the math, and price it. I have to do this 1,000 more times. More than 1,000 times, honestly, but a lot, basically. It's not the funnest work. It's rather time consuming, but it's something I gotta do at some point. But yeah, that was a huge mistake on my part, which was not doing it at the same time. I mean, it would have taken longer. It would have taken a lot longer. Maybe it wasn't a mistake. It's just going to be annoying to go and price it. I mean, it would have been annoying to go and price it while doing it, but it would have been like ever so slightly easier. Not by any significant margin. Just it would have been ever so slightly easier because when writing the stats, I could have checked the chart and done it then. I have to check the chart and do it after. You know, that's some of the stuff we talk about when I say Galactic Requiem work. That's some of the stuff I mean. It's not all fun world building and writing paragraphs. Sometimes it's map making, solving stat issues, working on statting items, solving rules issues, stuff like that. But, then there's the fun stuff, writing game stuff, statting new things, writing adventure stuff, making stuff for players, making NPCs, writing lore. All that's fun. It's it's the, I said this before, it's the mind-numbing formatting that gets to me. The mind-numbing formatting, which, while I love making things like the art here for these, it takes time to do. It's not as time consuming as and annoying as formatting. I can get lost making tokens. But going back and fixing the errors I've made, oh god, that's just so much less appealing. Especially when you have to do it over 200 times and it's not like you're fixing something neat. It's, oh, I have to redo this, which is just copy, paste, edit, 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 copy, paste, edit, 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 repeatedly, forever, 200 and something times. You know? Eventually. Eventually. Maybe. We'll get to that. Also gotta fix the rule book. Gotta fix everything. Infinite work. Is what it feels like. At some point, gotta make more pixel art. Not for these, but for, our custom Galactic Requiem pixel art. I've shown a bit of it off before. Let's go over to our file with it. Like the Council Alpaca tank. The Commonwealth spider tank. Little pixel arts. Oop, accidentally grabbed the background. That's the problem with accidentally placing things on the background layer. Remember when I said that this causes problems if you place things within... Yeah, that's basically what I mean. But, yeah, we have some things, but eventually I want custom pixel art for every faction. Every faction's vehicles. Every faction, starships, vehicles, all that stuff. Eventually, some point, someday. But that's going to be a lot more time and effort to get all that done. So, certain things at a time, one project at a time, one stat block at a time, one fix at a time. Anyway. So, let's see. We're not done. I'm just shocked I've been going for an hour and done basically nothing. Ah, wonderful. Let's see. So, it's, I've tried to convince myself recently to be more, well, to be less rules, stats. Well, it hasn't really worked. Oriented in a sense of, do I need stock market rules? Probably not. I mean, we have them and I need them. Yes, I do. But surely I can dumb down them for simple use. We've talked about it in regards to nation statistics and how I run NPC nations that aren't too important, like just a vague version of the rules. Because I get too obsessed with requiring advanced versions of the rules. Basically, it's not like I force the use of them on players or anything. Like, I encourage the vague rules, but like in a sense of needing a rule set for everything and just using the most advanced version of it when we could have simplified versions. Who needs the most advanced versions? I mean, I need them. I need them to exist. Otherwise, I'll go insane. I mean, there are times I've found balance, like, we don't need accurate space rules for stellar formation. Otherwise, I'll scream. And trust me, I know where I messed up. I know exactly what's wrong, what's right, why the things that are wrong, and why the things that are right are right. I don't know the entire math behind all of it, but as somebody who's studied astronomy, I know things that are wrong and right with our own system, and it bugs me. Not greatly, I put it to the back of my mind. I simply state, because it's true, all laws of physics differ than yours. But, like, like, let's put it this way. Do we have the ability to make it so every star system is far more accurate to life? And by that I mean planets that fall within the, what is it you'll call it? The life zone, the Goldilocks zone, whatever, of a star are habitable. We could actually, we have the math in front of us, calculate the life zone of planets of any given stellar type, O, B, A, F, G, K, M, L, T, and Y, due to their luminosity, and all that. We actually have a thing that will allow us to calculate that. We could accurately generate star systems. We could. Like, I'm not joking. We have the ability. I don't ever want to. I don't ever want to, because I find it fun to have an icy planetesimal field in the inner system, which wouldn't happen. An icy planetesimal field is in the outer system because that's where. So in actual astronomy, there's often it's I haven't studied astronomy in many years, admittedly. It's been many years. So a lot of my information might be out of date. But from what I recall, and I might be misremembering, but from what recall, there's this thing that we consider a split in space. Not really a split, but like there's the ice. I forget the words. It's been years. Like there's ice zone and the non-ice zone. So beyond this area, it's been years. But basically, loosely speaking, your solar system is split into two zones, as would be most solar systems. An area in which you have liquid and an area in which you have ice. Basically, in just the most brief, probably incorrect example. For instance, Earth falls in the zone with the ability for there to be liquid, while, say, Pluto falls in the zone in which for there to be ice, you know? Stuff like that. Oh, of course, Pluto's far beyond that zone. But you get my point. So, like, we could theoretically simulate the system properly, but I like the fun of having an icy planetesimal field allowed to be generated in the inner system. I like that. I like you can have icy planetesimal field, then an ice giant, then I don't know, a planet, then a gas giant. I don't care that it's inaccurate because it's fun. It would take away from the fun we can write into the lore, the fun we can partake of in the gameplay to do it accurately. I'm sure you could do it accurately and have fun. I'm sure you could do it accurately and have fun. But it is more fun to be inaccurate. We still follow laws and rules, yes, but it is more fun to be inaccurate. Because, I mean, let's put it this way. Well, let's be accurate. It will take you 50,000 years to get to that star system because you're moving at this percentage of speed of light and it's this many light years away. Because FTL isn't accurate. So, like, obviously, FTL, fun. FTL allows a lot of fun. I'm sure you can have fun, but think of all the additional fun you can have with FTL. You get my point? I know where the things are wrong in our star system generation, but I don't intend to ever change them because they're fun. I like having a planet orbit a Wolf Riot class star and still be a habitable world. You know? Stuff like that. So, these are the things we give up for fun. Hmm. Let's see. So, I mean, the same goes for a lot of systems, but like a lot of rule systems, well, we have accurate versions. We're trying to been working on vague versions just for easy, simpler use, basically. Um, let's see. I suppose we should. Like I said, this is going to be very random and scattered. Hmm. Yeah, I'm gonna have to price all this stuff at some point. Oh no. Mm. Hmm. Nope, technically that. Mm. Sorry, my brain is working on things. I know we I'd have to check my rule book. I'm not sure if we have pricing of constructing structures. I definitely know we have pricing of constructing vehicles, items, weapons, basically everything like that. But I realize I don't know if we have pricing of construction of structures. We probably do. We probably very much do. I just would have to double check. And if we didn't, we could easily convert it because it would be roughly loosely the same pricing as constructing items. We could just convert the rules. But now I'm curious, so my apologies while I go and read a book for a minute. Hmm. Go over to here. What's it say? Okay, yes, we do have pricing for it. Good, good, good. I was concerned there for a second. Hmm. I know what we don't have, but I'm really, really not going to bother on writing rules for it. Mm, mm, I always like having accurate rules, like I said. There's one thing that's not covered in construction pricing. That is technically construction pricing with specific materials. Like there's a base modifier, but there's not a modifier for everything, really. For instance, there's not a modifier for, say, constructing a building out of gold, which, like, I don't think that's needed per se, but like, I don't know, maybe. Maybe my players will say, I want to build a building out of gold. I, I guess it's possible, like, there's no built in base rules for finding out the price for that. But I don't know if I need a base built in rule for that, like, hmm, not sure. These are the kind of problems we face here. Now, far more strangely enough, I've received far more instances of can I mag dump into the fusion reactor than I have can I build a building out of solid gold, crazily enough. You'd be surprised how common people, my players wanting to just fire into a fusion core is. Far more than you'd expect. But, that's just how things are. But, like, that's why I love Galactic Requiem and I love running Galactic Requiem and working on it. Because I find great joy in seeing what my players do and providing them a world. I like when my players found organizations, run nations, go about their business, come up with plans, get in gunfights. I love watching my players do all that. I like seeing what crazy things they come up with. Now, of course, it doesn't always work out. Just because they make a plan doesn't mean it will succeed. Sometimes it'll go south and they'll all die. Who knows? But I love seeing it all happen, you know? I love seeing their solutions, especially when things go south. But as one of my recent player groups figured out, sometimes if you plan exceptionally well, like that's the thing that my players realize. In Galactic Requiem, if you plan well, any encounter is easy. Things can go south. Yeah, unforeseen events can occur. Things can go south, things can go not as planned. But Galactic Requiem isn't run like normal D&D. I know that might be a bit pretentious or something like that to say, but like I always say, which also may be a bit pretentious, is I run a living world. Is it's not about encounter level. It's not about there's not encounter level. There's not, hey, this is a level 5 monster. You know, it's not like that. It's not here's the campaign. It is a world. How do you want to go about it? You have this objective you want to complete. Attack it head on. Convince people to do it for you. Hire people to do it for you. Orbital strike it. Assault it. Use a tank. Blackmail them so the police attack them. Whatever you want to solve, convince them. Roll a persuade check. Like, however you want to go about it. Yeah, you might have a hard time assaulting a military base. You're probably going to die if you assault a military base with assault rifles, you know? Like, it's not going to work out well for you. But there's 1,000 ways, there's 1,000,000 ways to approach any situation. And I, personally, encourage that. I don't care that there's a I don't care if I have a perfectly built plan. If the enemy says, join me, why join me? And the players, having fought all the way to him, say, yes, sure, then we're doing that. Then we're doing that. You know, if they convince the enemy to side with them, sure. If the enemy convinces them to side with them, sure. I if that's the way a world works, that's the way a world works. You know, like so there's not a plan or encounter balance. There's balance, yes, but not in a sense of, hey, you here's the proper way to go about it, or hey, I've made it so this enemy is for the wizard, this is the counter to the wizard, and this enemy's for the wizard to fight, and the fighter should attack this guy, and that's the optimal route. And you know, it's no, no, no. If you want to side with the enemy, if you want to orbital strike them, if you want to kick down the door shooting, however you want to go about it, if you want to just convince them to surrender, however you want to go about it. So there's not mandatory encounter. There's not mandatory combat per se. There's asterisks next to those. If you're working for a military, saying there's not mandatory combat, there's an asterisk, of course. But that is very situational, you know? Like, you could betray your people and probably get murdered unless you're an AI under, you know. There are situations in which there are mandatory things, you know, like technically speaking. But those are outliers. Like, if you want to plan out a way in which you basically avoid the heavy brunt of the combat encounter, that's an option. If you want to say, fuck it, and just fire off, what was it in the last session that I ran, that my players did? Not our solo session, but our actual my player session, firing 32 rockets from a rocket pod attached to the back of a technical at a at a office complex with a sniper, because fuck it, we're not dealing with that sniper. We're not dealing with that sniper. Fire all 32 rockets from this rocket pod, this right onto that building, you know? Like, sure, if that's how you want to solve the solution, go ahead. I expected, I had the assumption, the expectation that the players would push through the buildings, sort of pushing into the buildings looking for the snipers. Maybe try and counter snipe, but that'd be difficult. That'd be very difficult. But something like that. Or push through the buildings. They said, let's fire all 32 rockets, unguided rockets from a volley at the building. That'll kill the sniper. And it did. Turns out, having 32 high explosive, what was it, 55 millimeter rockets slam into the side of a building will, in the general vicinity of the sniper, some of them will hit the sniper, and the sniper will die because he's a person. And it turns out getting hit by a single 55 millimeter rocket will kill someone. Getting hit by 10 will definitely kill somebody. 10 of the 32 successfully hit. So, you know, like, if you want to trivialize the encounter in such a way, sure. If you want to plan tactically and set up a bunch of mines, so when the mutant monsters run through, they get exploded, and then lay down fire, so basically none of them survive, basically making it so basically the enemy doesn't get a chance to attack you. Sure, that is an option. All of these are options that we encourage. So, you know, and that's what I mean when I say what I say. Like, it's very much like so. Hmm. Let's see. But yeah, that's usually what I mean when I say things like that. That there's basically the choice of going about these things. Oh, that's not ideal. I mean, it is loosely, because we can put that there. I also want another big structure here. But what kind? Well, let's check on structures. Let's see. If we want another big structure there, we could have another, like a actual big mall, then we're going to put some parking next to it. Sure, yeah, I like that. So let's grab medium, commercial, quad block. And then, of course, it will be sized improperly. Just due to, as stated, how we went about making all this. I think we'll have it here. Because why not? I like that idea better. Then we'll have this sort of go like that. Sure. And we'll grab some parking. Where did I put the parking lot? There we are. Ooh, and I sized it properly. Perfect. Ooh, I know what I want. Right there, we're going to put a metro station. Commercial metro. Here we are. Oh, too big. Size that down. Of course, this we're going to need to fix because the scale's off. So we'll grab these. Oh, let's start with these. This will make it easier. Like so. Like so. Like so. And like so. Grab this. Did we accidentally drop a second one? We did. Not ideal. Let's remove that. Copy that. And then paste these. And there we are. I'm torn between just when we run our solo games, between just wandering. I'm not sure if that'd be fun. I enjoy wandering in the world and just seeing what's going on and all that. Seeing what the bot generates, seeing things, talking to people. I love just experiencing the world. I mean, I wrote the world, but seeing what the bot throws at me within the law of the world, I don't I don't hate taking contracts or anything like that. I love missions and the fun of it. Don't get me wrong. But I want to do other stuff, but I don't know if that'd be boring or not? Hell, this is probably boring. I'm rambling and slowly working on work? So, like, what am I even talking about? Put some residential, medium residential there and there. I like that idea. And there. Suppose we need something here. We'll put another lodge. But we'll not bother too much. Hmm. No, we will. We'll bother. But what would we put there? That's the real question, isn't it? Ooh, I know one thing I do want to do. Let's grab a quad block heavy agriculture. Medium. Quad block medium agriculture. It's not going to go here. Just moving it here so I can size it properly. It's quad block, so it's 4 blocks, if you will. And we'll sort of have that over here. Now, the real question. Did I remember when I was making these things to make the ranch? Yes, I did. Single block ranch, quad block, cropland. Single block ranch. Throw that over here. It scales off, but that doesn't matter. And then we'll sort of go like this. going to have a rather large bunch of cropland. There. I'm going to have a road running to it. Now, does any of this actually relate to our, like, mission? Probably not. But when it comes to mapping things, I'm a bit of a completionist. I like having full, accurate maps. I say accurate, these are vague, but I like knowing the entire area that I'm working with. For some reason. There we are. So there's a big agricultural complex just outside the city there. Now, what was it we wanted here? Just another large, medium residential? Sure. Sure. Why not? That's good enough. There. We can, of course, fill these with details. We can put notes on any of these that we need, in case we want to know anything about them. There's a metro station there. I kind of want to note an additional thing, so let's do that. And that is, there should be a bus stop at the metro station. Let's see size. Sure. Maybe a bit larger. No. It's a small bus stop at the metro station. Cool. Very nice. So basically, you'd take the bus or metro to the edge of the city. There's a big shopping complex here, smaller shopping complex here, big highway, some residential apartment blocks more so. Like these ones are more open. These ones are taller, closed apartment blocks. Not super tall, but more mm, lower quality, if you will. We have a construction site. Suppose we can have another construction over here. No, either another house or another construction. Or maybe another. That's the problem, figuring out what we want in any of these places. Hmm. But I mean, like, we already have a lot. I say a lot, but like, we have a good representation of the area. Of course, we're probably gonna want more over here. But it is a good representation of the area so far. At least I find it acceptable because it looks like it would actually be a place to me now. The edge of the city, highway leading out, some sort of agricultural thing. Of course, normally a city might have suburbs out here, but this one does not. I suppose we could put suburbs in this section. Far more like housey houses. Which we should and could do. In fact, it's what we're going to do. So let's grab light residential. HIJKL. There we are. So we'll slap some of these down. There we go. This entire section is going to be light residential, by the way. Not exceptionally varied, but neither is the suburban sea. There we are. In fact, I kind of want to go like this. Yeah, I like it. Since we have a lot of light residential there, let's throw another light commercial here. Nice. I like it. I like it a lot. I suppose we should actually fill it with units for our mission. We'll go for a bit more. Although I should go at some point. Oh, we should swap to tokens. We know that there's going to be light units here, as there's a war going on. Let's throw down. Sure, because these are preserve units. We'll have some fun. The M113 tank. The M113 artillery. I realize what I'm missing. I don't have an M113 rocket. Unfortunate. I'm sure we can make do with... Where is it? An M270, sure. I'm gonna have to see the grid, view, show grid. Oh, grid's black. That means we can't see it against the background. Well, barely. Barely. Just so we can actually see what we're working with. 1, 2, 3, 4. Perfect. Size. 1, 2, 3, 4. Perfect. Well, it should probably be a bit bigger for that one, but it doesn't matter. This one's too small, though. Let's try two things. First, we're going to try and just make it... Oh, perfect. Perfect. Swap them to top-down view. It's basically, they're going to have a little set of units out here. Probably detrimental to us, to be fair. But whatever. Hmm. There we are. And we're going to need some normal vehicles, like an infantry mobility and or fighting vehicle and or an APC. Well, keep up with the trend. We'll just grab an M113. Sure. be parked on this side, on the sidewalk partially. Over here, there'll be two of them that would have been looking supply. Oh, accidentally pasted two. That's fine, we'll use them. I have a third over here. No, I have another over here. Sure, good enough. Perfect. And our objective is going to be to blow up the highway to a degree, damage it at least. So that's going to be a bit troubling, given that they're going to have at least one tank. And a lot of units. A lot more units. Well, not a lot, but an amount. But we'll see what we can do. They are not doing the best, situation-wise. Like, if you remember, we rolled several times, this was long ago, I'm not even sure if it's archived, for the combat situation, basically, in the general area and all that, and this faction's been losing terribly, so it fits to a degree. Okay. I believe that's, like, technically good enough for the encounter. We can always place units as needed as the bot demands. But it does look like we'll get use of our rockets that we acquired. We'll see how it all goes. Dangerous, risky. Hopefully we live. Well, I mean, we will. Hopefully Juliana Aldis does. We'll see how she does. Probably in over her head here. How much is it for? How much are we getting paid? Let's figure that out. Because we might need to boost it given all the vehicles around. Is it above or below? I think it's below. Here we are. 7,200 bucks. Come on. We can probably, given the amount of units that will be here, boost that. We didn't really know. Let's make a note. Given they'll probably be willing to pay up to 5 mercenaries, we can be like, we'll do the work of 5 mercenaries. So probably 36,000? Maybe 36,000 is actually a bit difficult. Given that, like, we'd use probably a squad of 5 to 10, honestly, for this. Like, yeah, it's stabilize slash sabotage, but probably need an actual squad for it. So, instead of 7,200, because the note here is always per mercenary. It's per merc. So, given the fact that, well, we're alone, probably charge with 5 mercs if we actually succeed. If we actually succeed. If not, we'll just get our normal partial pay, not even our 200, but less even. But, seems a bit fairer, given the fact that we're alone, doing the work of like 10. So might as well get paid for like 5 mercs, even though it's us, if we succeed. You know? Just fairness-wise, because we didn't know. And there'd be a platoon plus. Yeah? You know? So, yeah. That's reasonable for our mission preparation, debatably speaking. What else is there to do, then? We could probably stat some things. It'll be less exciting, I assure you. But, let's see. Of course, have a significant amount of weapons we're going to have to stat. Different ammo types, all that. I should work on updating some cybernetic stat blocks. Lots of things. But it is technically about time to attend an Imperial event. I say event, more so dinner. A little gathering of some generals. As one does. Well, as Imperial lords do. Sometimes you gather your generals in front of a big table. And you have food and talk about how it's all going. Maybe not in normal cases, but you do understand. Culturally, the Empire is very much old-timey nobility. Now, the generals aren't nobles per se, but they have status and so forth. And so it is partially, it's not obligated to, but, sometimes you have to gather the generals, have a bit of an event, ask them how they're doing, you know, keep them loyal. On rare occasion, insult one general because they failed, not have them killed or anything. Just keep them in line if they get too, you know. You don't want your. It's a fine balance. You want your generals loyal, but you don't want them to fall into a line. You don't want them to go corrupt. You don't want them to think that you're easy on them. You don't want them to go trader for a better deal. You want them to be efficient, capable, and competent. And sometimes that requires you to call out a general in front of the other generals. It's a fine balance. It's an art, if you will. Anyway, I think we're done with the map. So let's go like so. because we're done with the map. Of course, save. Assuming it loads and doesn't explode. Pop down a save. There we go. Okay. So, yeah, a lot of it is stuff like that. As for stats, we can always work on stats another time. We have a lot of things to do, lots of things to do. Tomorrow is, of course, World Building Wednesday, the day of world building, in which we'll work more on this kind of, we'll write more, I say this kind of stuff, it's more going to be writing fun little paragraphs and figuring out things involving the world. Because the thing we were supposed to do on World Building Wednesday that we said we'd do on World Building Wednesday, we did today. Which means we can focus more on world building tomorrow. It's gonna be fun. And then Thursday, nothing. Friday, at least I don't think. So far, no plan for Thursday. Friday, we do our solo tabletop RPG. Saturday, probably Armor. And then Tuesday, another news day. So yeah, that's the plan. Hopefully next month, at the end of the month, we'll have our lore video. Probably, maybe, hopefully. That's a hope. Not sure. Not sure yet. We'll find out. But we'll try and get more things going. Anyway, I'm probably going to be ever so slightly late for my meeting with the generals. So, thank you all for stopping by. As usual, I've been your host, Casimir Basilius. I hope you enjoyed our probably boring stream, and I hope that you, yes, you, have a wonderful day. Thank you for stopping by.